adventure.
Absolutely. A little bit more is on the way. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. We are going to be talking out of the Armed Citizens column from the American Rifleman. It's going to be the current issue, January issue 2019, page 10. If you got it, you can read along. Let's see what we can learn from these stories. Story number 1. Florida law enforcement officers are looking for someone who allegedly stabbed a man multiple times before being shot in response. The armed citizen had noticed that a black pickup truck that was being driven erratically was following him. He pulled into a bank parking lot, but the truck followed. A man exited that vehicle and, armed with a knife, confronted his would-be victim. The citizen tried to hit the perpetrator or push him away and get into his car, but after he failed at the troublemaker, he was stabbed several times. The injured victim crawled into his vehicle and retrieved a handgun that he used to fire at the attacker. The perp jumped into his truck and with the woman behind the steering wheel fled. It was unclear whether the bullet struck anyone. There's a lot in that story. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call situational awareness. We want to make sure we're aware of our surroundings, which this gentleman was. He noticed that somebody was following. He tried to dodge and pulled into a parking lot. I don't know if that was the greatest thing to do. But when this is happening, in my opinion, I would have been ready as compared to being stabbed and then going to get my gun. I'd be ready to prevent the stabbing from happening. If somebody's doing that and following me, I'm going to be at the ready. So all I can say is this. Situational awareness doesn't just mean knowing what's happening. It's being ready to face whatever's going to happen from that point. So be prepared. Story number 2. A neighbor at an apartment complex in Clarksville, Indiana, came to the aid of a mother and her young daughter who were being battered after the mom and her boyfriend had an argument that turned violent. When the armed citizen saw the man beating and kicking the woman, he grabbed his gun and told the assailant to stop. The victims moved to safety as the suspect lunged at their protector. The neighbor warned the attacker several times to stop or he'd shoot. Police said no charges would be filed in the fatal shooting. Okay, I mean, I don't know how to explain this any clearer. When you're assaulting somebody and somebody comes to save the day and has a firearm and tells you to stop, it's a pretty good chance if you don't stop, you're going to get shot. So that's protection of a third person. Sounds great. Guy did a great job. If something like that happens around you, I would hope that people who are prepared would step in to protect a third person as well. Okay, we're here to help each other out. Story number 3. Children should never be put into positions where they have to choose between their parents, but one California teen found himself in that unbelievable spot and shot his father to protect his mother. The man, who had a high level of alcohol in his blood, according to the post-mortem test, had gotten into an argument with his wife and started violently choking her. Fearing that his father was going to kill his mother, the boy shot the man. The investigation is continuing, but detectives initially classified it as a defensive shooting. That's a tough one. Maybe a baseball bat? I don't know. Something. You don't want your parents to fight, so you shoot one to save the other. I wasn't there. I don't know. But if you felt it was important to do that, and that was the only way to do it, I guess we'll let him make that decision on that one. All right, 4th story. Home security systems do a good job of alerting you to intruders, but they do little to protect you. So an Albuquerque, New Mexico homeowner protected himself and his girlfriend using a gun to stop a man who broke into his home through the garage. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a big one right there. You got all these alarm systems, gadgets and monitors and TV screens and all these different things to tell you of a break-in. But when you're sleeping, if you're in your house and you're asleep, you may not be able to respond quickly. So although somebody breaks in and you're being alerted, are you ready to handle the situation? Because in the middle of the night when you're groggy-eyed and you're fumbling for a handgun or whatever it takes to defend yourself, if you haven't practiced, it can become extremely difficult. So although you got your security systems, be sure to go the extra step and learn how to handle yourself to respond to the alert. Okay? So there you got it. You got some stories, self-defense, 2 stories of self-defense, and we hopefully can learn off of those stories as to what to do and what not to do. God forbid if it ever happens to us. I do have this one here, and I've got Super Attorney Rick Dodd in here. Maybe he can make a comment or two on it. Saw this in the paper. It says, man sentenced for stalking woman he previously shot. A Temple man who stalked a woman he shot 20 years ago was sentenced Friday to 15 years in prison. Jimmy Lee McVade, 61, violated a lifetime protective order his victim had against him and stalked her. He was convicted of stalking her. McVade was previously sentenced for 20 years in prison for shooting her. He wasn't supposed to have any contact with his victim, and he was ordered to stay 200 yards away from her. However, McVade stalked her at a bingo game. He pulled up behind her where she was parked and kept her from moving about for 5 minutes. The woman was afraid the whole time that he would shoot her again. Okay. Then I brought this up to Rick, and I'm saying, Rick, piece of paper, it doesn't stop somebody who wants you.
Well, love is an awful powerful thing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, the fact that she was afraid he was going to shoot her again, I don't blame her for being afraid of that.
Now, fortunately, it worked for 20 years, but, you know, if somebody's got a vendetta against you or they just change their mind, that piece of paper, that restraining order is not going to do anything. So
well, beyond that, as a criminal, as a convicted felon, rather, he had no right to even possess a firearm.
That's right.
Yeah, so, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about the constitutional right to possess a firearm, and that's one of the categories of people that our Supreme Court has said, it's okay if we ban that.
That's right. I understand that. Okay, let's stay on track here. Luke, go ahead, and we're going to play an opinion piece. It's lead, follow, or get out of the way.